So I think that's good. We're going to put the cardamom in a little bit later, and we're going to put a little bit of saffron in too, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So our masala is simmering here. Can you get that, Jen? And now we're going to get the milk warming up. There's different ways to make chai, like I said before. You can use one pot and just cook everything together and then strain it into the cups. This is a two-pot method where I'm just going to do the masala, all of the spices cooking in one pot, and I'm going to warm the milk in another pot. This milk we are blessed to have. This is milk from right down the road from a cow named Bonnie, and it's very fresh, raw, unhomogenized, unpasteurized milk. And for this amount of water, we have 6 cups of water. I'm going to approximate about 2 cups of milk. When it comes, it has the cream on top. You just homogenize it by shaking it. Simple homogenation. Okay. As far as the milk goes, when you move away from the recipe and start experimenting, you can use any ratio from 1 to 1, meaning equal parts of water and milk, which would make it a very milky chai, to here we have 2 parts water, 1 part, what do we have? Yeah, 2 parts water, you could use 1 part milk. We're using 3 parts of water to 1 part milk. So, and I think that's 1 to 2 or 1 to 3, I think is usually a good ratio. Of course, you could also use other milks. You can use goat's milk. I love goat's milk chai. It's one of my favorites. In fact, when I first learned how to make chai for my dear brother Hamid, he always used goat's milk. And the first years I was making chai, I always used goat's milk. Now I like cow's milk because we have the fresh local milk. And if you're vegan or you prefer not to have the animal milks, there's hemp milk, rice milk, soy milk, almond milk. You know, some of those you can make your own or buy. But just to know that a lot of those milks are thinner, or if you don't use a whole milk. So if you're using a thinner milk, you might use less spices or just use more milk so that your chai doesn't become too spicy. Okay? Then, yeah, let's put the saffron. I'm going to turn on the milk and get that heated up. And we're going to put a little bit of saffron into the milk. I love saffron. Saffron is really the secret ingredient. No longer a secret because I'm telling you, but again, my dear friend Hamid would always put saffron in his chai. Can you see that? These are saffron stigmas. They're from a purple crocus flower that is harvested in the fall. They grow it a lot. You know, there's a lot of Spanish saffron. This is from Kashmir, some of the best saffron on the planet. They grow it in India, and it's the most expensive spice in the world. And the reason it's the most expensive spice in the world is because each flower only produces 3 stigmas, and it's very labor intensive to go out and, you know, it's hand harvested to get the stigmas and to go out by hand and collect that many, and they are so small and so light. I like to put the saffron into the milk and just let it steep in the milk as the milk warms up. See how the milk is already turning a little bit yellow? It has such a wonderful flavor to it. It has a nice flowery, kind of high octave flavor that really lifts the chai up to a floral level. Okay, then the tea. I'll show you tea. We're not going to put it in yet. You know, in India, oftentimes the chai wallas or people that make chai will boil the tea and boil it and boil it and boil it, but we like to just steep the tea at the very end for 3 to 5 minutes. There's a lot of different kinds of tea. This is the most commonly used tea in India, just a CTC tea. You see there's tea granules. These are probably from, or these are from Assam, I'm sure of it. And it's, CTC means cut, tear, curl, or crush, tear, curl, where they take the tea leaf, put it in a machine that breaks it up, mashes it into balls, and then it's dried out. Or you can use what they call an orthodox tea, which is handled like a whole leaf tea. It's handled a little bit more delicately. And you'll see this is an Assam tea. You'll see when you go to buy a whole leaf tea letters like FTG, FOP, finest tippy golden flowery orange pico, or just an FOP or whatnot. Really what that's saying is the more letters it has, the bigger the leaf sizes are, and the bigger the leaf size, they say, the higher quality of the tea. So there's more details than that, but that's a simplification. We will put this in at the end as well, once we're ready to steep it. Okay. Then, the sweetener. I'll talk a little bit about sweeteners. I'm going to add the sweetener right into the milk as soon as the milk gets hot. We like to use sucanat, which is comes from the sugar cane. Can you see that okay? Mm-hmm. And it's what they do is they just juice the cane and dry it out basically. And so it's more of a whole food than the refined sugar. So it still has the B vitamins and the minerals and everything left. It has some nutrition left to it, let's say. Whereas the white sugar, it's been so stripped that it affects the body in a way that it makes your blood sugar just go racing, okay? You can also use maple syrup. You can use honey. In Ayurveda, they never heat honey or cook honey because it takes it from something that is a nectar into something that is kind of clogs the channels, or it becomes somewhat toxic. So if you use honey, just add it at the very end. Okay, our milk is starting to we don't want to boil the milk to death. In India, you know, they'll boil milk over and over because they get it raw too, but because this is raw, I don't want to boil it too much and kill it. And we're going to add the sucanat, about 1/3 cup of sucanat. You know, that's not too sweet. You can add a half a cup. If you are using sugar, you can use about the same amount. And I like to put it into the milk so it'll just melt in there. Okay, we are about ready. We're going to get some cardamom pods. Let's see, I'll use about, you know, it seems like a lot, but I like a good cardamom taste, maybe about 20, 25 pods. And instead of my mortar and pestle, I've spent years with the mortar and pestle grinding up cardamom pods until my wrist was damaged. So we're going to use this handy dandy spice grinder, which is awesome. Waring spice grinder. They're not giving me any money or anything for talking about them. It's just that this has revolutionized our chai making. Check it out. That's it. Cardamom is ready. So what we're going to do is, so I've turned off the milk. We've got our masala here. I'm going to turn off the masala, put in the cardamom ground up, add a couple of tablespoons, which is about 6 teaspoons of my TGFOP Orthodox Assam tea. Stir it up a little bit. Put the lid on, set my timer for 5 minutes, and we'll just let it steep. We'll be right back. Okay, we're almost ready here. Our ringer is about to go off. I just wanted to say, you know, as far as how long to simmer your masala, you can simmer it 5-10 minutes. Some people like to simmer the masala for a half hour or even hours, you know, and it's a fine line, you know. Some spices, if you simmer them too much, you'll lose potency, whereas some spices, you'll get more out of the spice by simmering it longer. So, what to say? I like to usually simmer my chai, you know, somewhere between like 10 or 15 minutes, you know, as you like. Okay, our buzzer is about to go off here, or maybe I'm just a little antsy and I'm going to strain it anyway. Give it one last little whirl. Ooh, it looks beautiful. It looks like it's steeped quite nicely. Check it out. Mm-hmm. And it's nice just to use a fine strainer. And I'm just going to strain the masala into the milk saffron sweetener. There we go. Right on time. You know, usually the official timing they say for tea is 3 to 5 minutes. We usually like to go for 5 minutes, especially for using an orthodox tea. If you're using a CTC, or you can use tea bags even, as long as they're not, you know, flavor tea bags. Then if you don't want it too strong, you could go for the 3 minutes. Alright, Om Namah Shivaya. Give it a little stir. We like to always offer up our first cup. You know, in India we saw chai wallas that will take between two pots and they'll just pour the chai back and forth this far apart, 2 arm lengths, and they'll make like a latte, all the bubbles, and it'll cool it down and blend it really nice. So it's nice to add a little bit of the air element in. We always like to offer up a little bit of our masala chai to our beloved. And the next cup.
I'm drooling back here.
I like to offer to my dear beloved.
Gracias. Dhanyavad.
And what do you think?
It's outstanding.
It's a good chai. Jema, enjoy.
Jema.
ChaiPilgrimage.com. One love.